Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Heart with Dr. Swarup Dutta. Today I have with me my young friend, Mr. Siddhant Rishi Prabhakar. Uh, Siddhant is a person of, multiple identities. He is on one hand, he is an innovator. He came up with his new product called Digital RCRT. And then he is the son of Guruji Shri Rishi Prabhakar, who founded the Siddha Samadhi Yoga. And Siddhant has grown up under the caring shadow of Rishi Prabhakar and his mother Arundhati Ma. And today I have with me to discuss with him his memories of his childhood, his schooling, his college, what he thinks about spirituality. We'll talk all about that. But before I just begin my conversation, let me share a few pictures which will probably ignite his memories. So let's check it out. So this is Guruji Shri Rishi Prabhakar, and my heartfelt gratitude and pranam to him for finding such a wonderful program called Siddha Samadhi Yoga, which is transforming lives across the globe. This is a picture of when Siddhant was born in the lap of his father and mother looking up. This is young Siddhant. Wonderful memories he has shared with us. And now he is a fully grown gentleman, a great citizen of the country, and launching different products, starting from digital RCRT to along with meditation courses. This is his creation, the digital RCRT. And I'll also ask him about this program that he has shared on the Facebook and running successfully, Illuminate Meditation Series, and we'll talk about that in detail as well. So, a lot to talk about. Welcome, Siddhantji, on this show.
Namaste, Swarupji.
So, it's wonderful to have you here. And just before I start my conversation, let me just ask you this, that, is this your first program that you're attending of a similar kind, where you're being interviewed by someone?
Yeah, so on the digital platform, it is one of the first few interviews that I'm attending. But
Great.
otherwise, I have been to various functions physically before the lockdown, and so that's a different experience. This is a different experience altogether. I'd like to thank you so much for this heart-to-heart interaction. We've been connected through digital RCRT and various other concepts over the past few months, and it's been a pleasure to be connected to such an intellectual like yourself.
Thank you so much. Now, my first question is, can you share some of your memories of your childhood? How it was like to be Rishi Prabhakar's son?
Oh, that's a great question. So, having Guruji and Arundhati Ma as my parents, I think, has been a blessing to me because I have been brought up in a very cultured environment and a very taken care of environment, in the sense I've always been protected. I've always been treated with lots of love and care by both my mother and my father. In fact, my father always took me on various nature trails and nature walks when I was just a baby, and he in fact told me that one of the first few phrases that came out of my mouth. So this is an interesting story. I didn't start speaking until the age of 2.5, because my mother is Maharashtrian, my father's Kannad. Both of them, they conversed in English, and just a lot of diversity in the environment. So they had to take me to a doctor and say, is my child going to talk? And then the doctor was like, yes, just give him some time and let him learn one language at a time. And so when I started speaking about 5-6 months after that particular incident, the first few words that came out of my mouth was Jai Siddhant.
Acha,
And
wonderful.
And how it came to this was whenever my father used to go on padayatras in his organization for various functions, he used to carry me on his back and used to just take me around, walk with me. And he used to say, Jai Siddhant, Jai Shri Siddhant, Siddhant Baba ki Jai, and all of these things. So that's an amazing, memory where I've praised myself in the first few phrases that I've spoken. So that's one of the memories. And I think being with Guruji was a very innovative parenting style, I would say. He always treated me as an equal. I never, remember him treating me as a child ki, ha, you're younger than me, just sit down, I'll explain it to you. That was never his approach. Guruji always loved to interact with me and as an adult. And we used to have these philosophical debates, and we used to play Scrabble, we used to go on walks, go on drives. I remember once when we were in Pondicherry, my mother, Arundhati Ma, Guruji, and myself.
So what age you were at that time when you were in Pondicherry?
So we moved to Pondicherry in 2004 when I was 4 years old. Before that, we lived in Bangalore, and we lived in Pondicherry for 7 years till 2010-11.
All right.
So this one incident that I was bringing up was how Guruji, loved to experience life. And Guruji, his philosophy aside, was a very vibrant being. So what I do remember about this one incident was myself, Arundhati Ma, and Guruji, we were hunting for the best filter coffee in Pondicherry.
Achha.
And we started at about 10 o'clock at night. And filter coffee is such a delicacy. You find it even late at night, 4, 5 o'clock. So each one of us had 10 cups of filter coffee that night.
Okay.
Yeah, trying to figure out which is the best filter coffee in Pondicherry.
All right.
And then we couldn't sleep the whole night. We were just playing games, listening to music, talking about things, going to the terrace and just walking around. So that is a very fond memory that I have.
Great, wonderful. So you always called Guruji as Guruji, or you called him by some other name?
So initially, I used to call him Papa, and towards the end, from about 2012 to 2014, I started calling him Dad, and that was how his number was saved on my phone, or how I used to interact with him. But even today, I call my mother Mummy or Mum, and it just varies here and there.
Awesome. Now, if I remember correctly, during the Pondicherry days, those were the days when Kaya Kalp Kriya was developed. Do you have any memory of that? How it came into existence?
So I was very young back then, but I do have certain memories about Kaya Kalpa Kriya. I remember myself, Guruji, and Arundhati Ma going to the beach, walking around, and then Guruji would just experiment with himself how to most efficiently bring prana into the body. And then he made the discovery of Kaya Kalpa Kriya while in Pondicherry. And after that, I remember in 2007 and 8, we went on a Kaya Kalpa trip. So we had first come to Pune, where we had a Kaya Kalpa session in the military area. And then we went to Rajkot, we went to various other places in Gujarat. I think we'd also gone to Rajasthan, and then we came back to Bangalore after that. So around that time, 2007, 2008, a very faint memory.
So I think your childhood has been spent shifting from one place to another. So was your schooling affected during those shifts from one state to another or one place to another?
As much as I remember, and what I've heard from other people, was that because we had our own ISP program, Guruji and Arundhati Ma, they used to always educate me and teach me how to read and all. But I always remember that we used to travel a lot. And I found one of my report cards for my nursery a few days back. It's a nursery called Jelly Beans in Bangalore. And what it says on the report card is you should let your son attend class more. So basically, they're trying to say that I move around a lot. But I should attend more. So yes, that is one thing. But after when I had to go into first grade and start my formal education, we moved to Pondicherry, and till about the fifth grade, I was in Pondicherry, and sixth onwards, we came to Pune.
So you have been always been in an international baccalaureate board, or you have studied in state boards or central board, something like these also you have gone through.
So my first and second grade, I studied in a French medium school in Pondicherry.
All right.
It's called Lycée Français,
Mm-hmm.
and the school is run by the French embassy in Pondicherry. So my parents wanted me to learn French. So the best way to learn any language is to send your child into that environment. So they sent me into Lycée Français. I
Mm-hmm.
was there for 2 years. Then after that, I was moved to a CBSE school in Pondicherry,
All
which
right.
were till my fifth grade. Then I moved to Pune, where we had CBSE till the 10th grade, and in our Gurukulam. And after that, I moved to the International Baccalaureate for 11th and 12th.
So you have studied in the Rishi Gurukulam as well, right?
Yes, yes, I have.
For how many years?
From the sixth grade, so about 5 years.
5 years. So,
Yes.
what major difference you found between a Rishi Gurukulam culture and a culture in a normal school, like a normal IB school or a CBSE school? What is the major difference?
Yeah, so there are a lot of differences, in fact, both curricular and co-curricular. But one of the most important differences that I think sort of benefit from, I wouldn't say Rishi Gurukulam, but from the SSY culture that I lived in
Mhm.
during my early ages was that I have the skills and I've developed the skill set to go within. So I am equipped enough to find all the answers within. We've been taught how to meditate since I think the first time I learned how to meditate formally was in my sixth grade. So since a very long time, we've been meditating,
Mhm.
and a lot of religious pujas and things going on in the Gurukulam. So basically, I think my holistic approach towards life today is impacted by the SSY culture. If you go through SSY, we talk a lot about balancing things, uh, food, meditation, pranayam, your internal wisdom, your internal motivation. So the culture definitely supported me to grow a lot. And if I want to give a direct comparison to the traditional schools like the IB schools or the CBSE schools, we were given personalized attention in the Gurukulam. Each and every child, the uniqueness of each and every child was acknowledged. So it helped us grow in a balanced way. Whereas, in schools such as the DAV or bigger schools in Pune city or elsewhere, you have 50 students in one section, and then you have 10 sections, so 500 students in one class itself. So it
Mhm.
becomes difficult to give individual attention to each and every child. So I really liked the individual attention that I got. And of course, in the Gurukul, a lot of sports, a lot of nature activities, a lot of co-curricular activities that we did benefit from.
Wonderful. I just wanted to ask you one more thing about the schooling itself.
Yeah.
That you just said that you grew up in the SSY culture and then you shifted to a mainframe school.
Yeah.
When that happened, obviously the students of your age group, they didn't get a similar background. So when you were mixing with your friends in school or class, did you find a gap, in the level of intellectual level or the cultural level, something they were talking which didn't interest you? And the things that you were thinking of discussing with others, you did not get good friends enough to talk about diving inside or spiritual discussions. Did you feel such a gap existed in your
So
school?
at that point in time, it's a very interesting question, and I'll answer it heart to heart over here. So when I moved from Rishi Gurukulam to Indus International School in Pune, um, I there were a lot of difficulties that I faced to go into the mainstream. But one of the benefits that I had from, I'll talk about the benefits first, then I'll move on to what exactly the difficulties that I faced. So in the Gurukulam, I really learned how to be happy within. So when I am happy within myself, with myself, I did not need someone else's appreciation or someone else's um, acceptance for me, because it was ingrained in my mind that you yourself are enough, and you you have everything within. So that confidence is very important. I've met so many people who are in their 50s and 60s and still need to figure this thing out, that you do not need external validation. And that is something that has been amazing for me in life. And I think kudos to Guruji for creating such a wonderful course such as SSY, which gives you this internal realization. So when I moved to Indus International, one of the difficulties that I faced was that we lived in Katarkadak Ashram, which is about an hour and a half from Pune city. And back then, we did not even have 3G internet connection. All we had was Aircell and poor broadband connectivity. So we were sort of disconnected from whatever is going on in the external world. And that sort of was a disadvantage to me, because in any generation you have certain trends going on, or you have certain things that you're supposed to know by default, being a part of the generational population. Now when I moved to Indus International, I did not have that. And the IB program is in fact a 2 years program for the DP program. So it took me about 6 months to fit in from the Gurukul environment into the mainstream international education environment. And what I really appreciated about the IB and the international curriculum that we went through is that I got a better grasp over my language, and I was able to express myself in a much better way, because you have in the IB you have lots of experiential learning, lots of report writing, lots of skills that you need to apply in education. And that was something that we did not have in Gurukulam. So that was a barrier to me. But again, with the SSY spirit, I had the confidence to go back and improve myself without, shattering my ego, or without feeling bad about it, taking it up as a challenge and conquering the challenge as well. Yeah.
So did you get good friends in school? When
Yeah. I have good. I have great friends in school. All of them are in the US, in Canada, and some are in the UK at the moment. I have a couple of best friends also from school that I've retained. You know how things are with the online world now. Everyone's stuck at home, so I did make good friends. But yes, it was a very limited circle, and various factors attached to it. My school group was mainly Marathi speakers from certain parts of the city. So that was something that brought us all together. And yeah, it was really fun in school and college. We still meet up whenever everyone's in town.
so as a child, when you were growing up, you were more close to Guruji or Arundhatima,
I was definitely close to Arundhati Ma.
right?
And as every child has affection towards their mother, I love the affection and the care that Arundhati Ma has given me, and she still does shower me with lots of grace. In fact, Arundhati Ma had to play a role of being a mother and a father at the same time.
True.
Till about 2008, Guruji physically lived with us in Pondicherry. And after that, he had to go and fulfill his organizational duties in RSVK.
Right.
So he had to move around, go abroad. So during those days, Arundhati Ma was both a mother and a father to me. And even after Guruji's passing in 2014, she had to take up the role of being the head of the family and looking after everything.
That's so nice. Uh, Digital or CRT?
Yeah.
Did this come to your mind at all?
So it was a very funny experience, a very funny instance where we decided to create digital RCRT. In the organization, RSVK, Guruji's organization, uh, we have people, the main people in the organization, the decision makers, the trustees. I think they're about between their 60s and 70s. So all of them have sort of become quote unquote old, and even their perspective towards things, what is possible, what is not possible, is also based on their understanding of the world. Now, the story of digital RCRT starts in March 2020. March 2020, but I formally joined the RCRT team in I think 2018, where I started taking part in RCRT activities. 2019 RCRT was headed by me in terms of the social media, creating automations, digitalizing everything, and streamlining things. And in fact, in 2020, we had a target of having about 500-600 students all over the country to attend digital RCRT, and we had to attend RCRT, and we had created an ecosystem for that. And then, as you know, the lockdown happened. So the first reaction for me when someone asked me that why don't you convert this course into a completely digital course, and my reaction was that's not possible. And then someone told me that making things possible is what I'm best at. And so I took up digital RCRT as a challenge. So over the past year or two before the lockdown, I was intensively working towards formalizing all the structures and systems in RCRT, creating fresh manuals, creating fresh literature for the students, etc. So I had all the content with me, and I spent hours together contemplating how exactly am I going to convert a physical driven course into a digital course. So in the physical course, we used to complete the entire syllabus. Now, when we moved to the digital course, we have changed our perspective, and we are teaching students the technique through which they can drive their own car. And creating digital RCRT was sort of like a download that I got from the universe. I truly believe in the power of the universe. So getting one completely formed thought about digital RCRT is something magical, and I definitely know till date how it's going to roll out and how everything is going to become a success in the coming few months, just because of the fact that I'm confident about it and I know that I have universal support to take this project up. Or else it was sort of impossible for anyone in the organization to even think of creating such a course and brand it the way I have branded it and take it out into the market.
Now, those who are viewing the program now, many of you may not be aware of the concept of digital RCRT. If you can share a bit about that.
Yeah, sure. So digital RCRT is an educational program through which students can complete one entire subject in 8 to 10 days. We give students one of the world's most powerful learning techniques, which help them to quickly summarize and finish their syllabus in 8 to 10 days. In any traditional schooling environment, it takes the child 10 months to go through all of their syllabus. We reduce that time to 2 months, 8 to 10 days for one subject, and 2 months for your entire year's syllabus. We basically want to empower students to go into physical and experiential learning. Once you're done with your theoretical learning, you can go and you can learn through experimentation. You can learn through the application of information that you have. And as you had shared other day, Swarupji, Bloom's taxonomy, where according to the National Education Policy. So we are covering the first vertical of the Bloom's taxonomy, where we are helping students learn theoretical information as soon as possible, so that the rest of the 8 months that they have, they can invest into analytical and experiential learning.
Great. So basically, the digital RCRT program, as I understand it, will not only emphasize on the remembering and understanding part of it, but it will take the students, or rather give the students enough time to focus on the higher aspects like application, analysis, evaluation, and finally creation. So what I understood from you and your, the program that you have shared in different webinars, that the children are going to have a lot of time to create and innovate.
Yes.
As a student, did you feel like, you got enough time to create and innovate? Because creativity is like, it's called like a flash. It comes like a flash.
Yeah.
This particular thing, digital RCRT, did it come to you just like a flash or an insight, or you planned for it for quite some time?
So the whole idea came as a flash to me. And as I believe that when an idea comes to you, it took me sort of about 2 months to pen everything down. I had the idea ki I need to do these 10 things, and this is how the course is going to be a success. But to actualize it and to create it in a framework where, yes, I was ready to launch, it took me about 6 months. But to get the whole idea on paper and ready, it took me about a month and a half, with the scripts, with the content, with everything ready.
So were there people who discarded the idea as well when you shared with them, or was it a smooth run
Oh,
through
absolutely. Absolutely,
discarding the
absolutely.
idea that it won't work?
This is a very personal, yeah. This is a very personal sharing. In fact, when I wanted to do digital RCRT, I contacted a lot of RCRT facilitators, which we have in the organization. And none of them believed me that this is possible and you can take this up and you can do it. And I think till date also, a lot of people don't believe that digital RCRT as a program or as a curriculum works. And in fact, that was one of the reasons why I made this an independent project under my own organization, which is Rishi Prabhakar International Foundation. So that, I have complete control and I can create, update, edit it in a way that I want to, and in a way that can help students as much as possible.
So whatever you're sharing with me right now, it sounds to me like, it's an organization that was developed by Guruji, who is your father. In the same organization, you lacked people who are going to back you up and support you. Is that what you're,
Yeah, I think there are certain people who have a lot of reverence towards Guruji. And because of various factors, my age, one of them, my directness towards things, my ideas, my innovative ideas, these are things that some people cannot digest. My dad's organization is 40 years old. It was established in 1982. And since then, a lot of people have joined the organization. They have put in 30, 40 years of their lives. And it is but obvious that because of a generational gap, there is always a clash in thoughts. Even in my organization, Rishi Prabhakar International Foundation, our aim is the same. We want to take forward Guruji's knowledge, but the representation and expression of that is very different. So what you have said is, I think, to the point where in my father's organization, I do not have that much support. And in fact, a lot of people in the exterior, in the outside world, they think that life is very jolly for me because, we have so many ashrams, we have so many projects to take up,
right?
and ashram in Pune, Bombay, Bangalore, Hyderabad, and all major cities. But in reality, the intricacies of how organizational conflicts are is very bad. And so for me and my mother, Arundhati Ma, we are lone soldiers walking our own path. And it's very empowering, actually. And at the same time, it's slightly sad that I haven't received support from an organization which my father has devoted his life to. Yes, they do support my education. They do support our livelihood in whatever ways they can. But over and above that, I experience a lot of inertia per se to change. as a Gen Y, I'm fast. I like to do a lot of things quickly. Take up a project, finish it, move to the next one. And the people in the organization have their own systems, they have their own thoughts, and for them to change is like an earthquake, shifting their whole lives. Eventually, I do see myself taking over the management in my father's organization as well, because Guruji himself has written in quite a few emails that quoting him, Siddhant is a natural owner of RSVK.
Right.
And I think that is inevitable, which will happen. I'm not talking this out of ego, but it's out of acceptance towards whatever is. And till then, I have the opportunity to explore myself, explore what I'm good at, and explore what I can create for this world.
So you're taking this as a journey that till that happens,
Yeah,
let me enrich myself. That is the way you are taking this up.
yeah. So um, RSVK as an organization has very rock solid foundations, and being a charitable organization, the government and everything, there's a lot of complexities because of charity laws, etc., etc.
Right.
So I'm very sure that RSVK isn't going anywhere, and till then I have the opportunity to explore myself. I'm in acceptance of it that at this moment there are certain things which I do not per se favor, and I've voiced myself many times. But I'm okay if it comes to me. I'm okay if it doesn't come to me, because I know that with the grace of Guruji and Arundhati Ma, I have the skill set and the talent to take our family's mission and legacy to the next level in the new age,
Irrespective of the organization,
irrespective of the organization.
RSVK or it's a international foundation that you have laid up right now.
Yes, yes. In fact, yesterday I had a meeting um, for one of our trusts in Katar Khadak Ashram, and we met for the first time after the lockdown. And during the lockdown, there was tons of miscommunication, tons of conflict that arose between me and one individual in the organization. So yesterday's meeting was very confrontational for me, and where I was putting up my points to get things right. Being a person of my age, I like things to be completely sorted, whether it's a legal thing, financial thing, or something like that. So basically, the outcome of yesterday's meeting was that myself and Arundhati Ma, or Guruji's family per se, we have to sort of recalibrate ourselves towards the organization and see how to take things forward on the front of my dad's organization. But independently, I see myself as a free child. I see myself as a free child, and uh, I take the opportunity to explore what the world has for me rather than what RSVK or its associate organization has for me, because that is a blessing. That's always been a blessing. And I sort of feel that it's my time to spread my wings. And I was, in fact, talking to Nitya Shanti ji a couple of weeks back. And the conclusion of the conversation was that, Siddhant, you're stuck in a sort of a golden cage. It is a gold cage, but it is a cage at this moment. So for me to actualize my best self, I need to step out and break free and open my wings, because I know that the world has a lot for me and I can contribute a lot to the world.
Now, when you see these things happening within an organization like Siddha Samadhi Yoga, where it talks about, sort of vairagya, and people are sticking to the positions. So, do you think it's like sort of a fallacy or sort of a, just the opposite way of what Guruji said? People are behaving in that way.
Not really. I wouldn't
Stick to the
say that.
positions.
In fact, when Guruji was with us in his physical state, everything worked according to him in the organization. So back then everyone was in full vairagya towards Guruji. Like whatever Guruji says would be the last word, and everything worked because Guruji had such a big vision for the world. In fact, he's talked a lot about peace villages, international universities, reverse engineering colleges. So he had big projects for the world and for the country. So the people in the organization trusted Guruji and surrendered to him to guide everyone towards creating a better world. After Guruji's passing, I think this is an interim phase where everyone is sort of trying to grip their own foundations, because Guruji was a foundation for everyone, including myself and Arundhati Ma.
Okay.
And people have surrendered 30, 40 years of their lives towards Guruji's cause. And one day Guruji is no more. So whom do you listen to? What do you follow? Um, I'm not going to listen to that person. He's not listening to me. He's not submitting the accounts. He has done this. He has done that. So all of these things, of course, when one's foundation is not strong enough, and Guruji held everyone's foundation strong, that is meant to happen. And so, in fact, when Guruji passed over, I was only 13 years old.
Right.
And so within the house, Arundhati Ma and I, we used to have conversations about how things are happening in Bangalore ashram or in Katar Khadak ashram or wherever. And we did not play that big of an administrative role back then. In 2018, there was this one function where the people in the organization sort of forced me to induct myself into RSVK. It was a function called Pattabhishekam, which happened in October 2018. So uh, whether they say that they've done it with my consent or whatever, in my opinion, it was a lot of mental stress and mental torture for a 18-year-old person to sort of take such decisions and be forced into certain things just by being said that because you're Guruji's son, you've got to do this. And later on, when I turned 19, I started realizing of these things. And there's always this teenage immaturity. So back then, I did not understand a lot of things that my mother used to tell me, that these things are going wrong and these things are not up to the mark in an organization of RSVK stature. And as a child, I did not understand what she said. But when I stepped into the exterior world through Indus and through Flame University, started realizing the organization's positionality, where it is and how it is going to go about. And I personally tried to work with people in the organization from this event, the Pattabhishekam event in October, or actually way before that. In August 2018, I started diving deep into the organization, getting into the administration, doing voluntary service and, helping out with things, doing office work for them. And then I quit in March 2020 when the lockdown happened, where I sort of realized that people are not whom they show. Of course, I'm always grateful to people for their contribution in our life, financial help. They've helped us emotionally, and they've helped bringing me to where I am. Of course, Arundhati Ma playing the biggest stake in the whole experience. But during the lockdown, a lot of clash of opinions and a lot of clash of things. So somehow the organization has survived the lockdown. And I think there is a teachers forum which is working towards rebuilding the organization, the spiritual part of the organization. But at this moment, myself and Arundhati Ma, we are working on digital RCRT. We are working on establishing RPIF, which is Rishi Prabhakar International Foundation, and just seeing this. So a lot of people, come and ask me, well, Siddhant, have you split from RSVK or what is it? And I tell them, no, 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 not at all. RSVK is just going through its phase, and RSVK is my left hand, and Rishi Prabhakar International Foundation is my right hand. So just taking things forward on those lines. Yes.
Wonderful. That was really a great revelation. And let me just ask you this, uh, the way Rishi Prabhakar or Guruji took it forward, reached people directly. So are you planning in some way to reach people directly? Because in the lockdown, best opportunity to reach to people through the digital platform. You definitely launched the digital RCRT program, but what about certain programs like self development, where people are really they're exploring someone to hold on to, someone to learn from. So during this phase, did you take up or did you plan of some program like this, which is spirituality development program or self development program, something like that?
Yeah. So in our, I can talk about myself. So
Mhm.
personally, I'm still getting trained and learning about Guruji's philosophy and what all he talked about.
Who is
And
training you?
we have a few teachers in Pune who's training,
All
senior
right.
teachers in Pune who are
Mhm.
training me about Guruji's philosophy, and I'm learning from there. So and SSY as a program, the main spiritual backbone of the organization is SSY.
Mhm.
And over the lockdown, a lot of SSY teachers, they've come together. They have created a global teachers forum, and they're looking at how to promote SSY. Why I didn't get into self development or anything at that moment was because RCRT was within my jurisdiction, and I could definitely take independent decisions there. But when it comes to SSY or ISP or any of the other programs, I do not have jurisdiction over there, simply because of the fact that I do not have complete training in those aspects, which I am getting trained. So once I do get trained, I will definitely look at how to convert those modules or redevelop them to suit the digital world. But there were a lot of teachers in Pune that I know of who've taken online SSY classes, and some also in Bombay who have taken classes. But the whole I I don't know whether I should call it a problem, or the whole problem in RSVK is that everyone wants their own autonomy as a teacher, and in this autonomy you cannot create big progress, because if something comes from the top and you're saying that theek hai chalo, let's launch online SSY, or let's launch online ISP, or let's create a particular program, there need to be facilitators, and the facilitator themselves want their own autonomy. They do not want to work for the central offices or the organization. So there is a lot of bureaucracy. Let me make it very clear. There's a lot of bureaucracy everywhere.
Mhm.
And I've tried my best to work within the frameworks of the organization. I've tried to change them. Um, Many people cite charity laws to not being able to go to the next level. Some people cite the inability of teachers to take it up. And there's just friction for change. That is always there in any organization. So Arundhati Mai and I have taken the stance to do whatever we can with whatever limited resources that we have to spread Guruji's knowledge. And of course, I'm studying right now as well. I'm enrolled in college. So the full-fledged activity of digital RCRT and Rishi Prabhakar International Foundation will start once I graduate this year.
All right. Talk about something that you have named illuminating meditation, or
Yeah. So,
illumination rather.
sorry.
Illuminate meditation is a course
Yes.
launched.
Yeah, so on we launched Illuminate meditation series on the 16th of February 2021, which is Guruji's seventh Aradhana, or year of passing, seventh year of passing. And as a gratitude towards Guruji, we launched this program. And the Illuminate series is basically a series of meditation and meditational activities which help you to reconnect with yourself. There are a lot of guided meditations in the Illuminate series and a lot of activities, mindful activities. We also launched a course called Wise Walk on the 1st of January. Wise Walk program is a part of digital RCRT. So basically, Wise Walk, we talk about inspirational skills for teenagers and for students so that they can become better human beings.
Okay. And this meditation series that you have named it. So do
Yeah.
you have plans to go for enrollments like just like something parallel to Siddha Samadhi Yoga? Are you planning something similar?
Not at this moment.
Not at
So
this moment.
yeah, so the Illuminate meditation series are guided meditations, and Siddha Samadhi Yoga is one of the world's best inspirational leadership self-development course. I lack adjectives to express what SSY is, but basically it's a culture, it's a way of life, it's a way of how you can take your life to a more conscious level. So there is no doubt that SSY is one of the most powerful programs anywhere that I have seen to completely turn your life upside down.
Siddha Samadhi Yoga as a program and the way it
Yeah,
has been, spread.
yeah,
I think if I'm not wrong, uh,
yeah,
Guruji's almost parallel person was Sri Ravi Shankar. And even Sadguru today, who is Jaggu Vasudeva, he was a disciple under Guruji at one point in time.
yes.
And now you see like the way Isha Foundation has spread and the way SSY has spread, do you feel that SSY people lacked some way the marketing skills or spreading this knowledge to others? They lacked somewhere.
So I'll tell you what. I've had this conversation with Guruji a lot of times that look at Sri Ji or look at other organizations who have flourished so much.
Right.
But what Guruji, so I'll take you back to the past and I will give you a little story and context about why SSY or Guruji Sri Rishi Prabhakar is not that big of a brand in comparison to Jaggi Vasudev, Sadguru, or Sri Ravi Shankar ji. So I think in the 1990s or early 2000s, before I was born, or maybe shortly after, there were a few Times of India executives who contacted, I don't know the names exactly, but Times of India executives who contacted my father before they contacted Sri Ravi Shankar ji. So my father, he declared, and what they proposed to my father was that, we will promote SSY and Guruji Sri Rishi Prabhakar as a brand left, right, and center, and we'll make you the biggest spiritual organization in India. But there were, asterisks, terms and conditions applied. And Guruji is one person who did not want any terms and conditions applied to his life. So he got up from the meeting and he walked away because his freedom was most important to him. At that point in time, in the 1990s and 2000s, SSY or RSVK had the largest teachers base in India. We had the largest number of teacher bases in India, and uh, it's all because of Guruji not wanting to lose his freedom. His freedom was the most important thing. And I do remember in certain interactions, in the elections before 2014, so the ones in 2009, Sri ji, so Sri ji went ahead with the deal with Times of India people, and uh, Art of Living became India's biggest organization, spiritual organization. So I do remember an interaction between Sri ji and my father, where Sri ji said that he's pressurized a lot by political parties during the elections to favor one particular side. And Guruji did tell him that he walked away from the whole deal because it was his freedom that mattered most to him. And when we talk about Jaggi Vasudev ji or Sadguru, he was one of the first few batches of teachers that Guruji produced. In fact, I think Guruji and Jaggi Vasudev were very close as a guru and shishya. And Guruji sent Jaggi Vasudev ji to Coimbatore to start SSY classes there. And he started Isha Yoga and he established his ashram there. So within the organization, RSVK, there is a lot of mistrust and a lot of negativity towards Isha Foundation and Jaggi Vasudev ji because of the sole reason that he was an SSY teacher, and the inner engineering course with some plus and minuses is essentially SSY. And yeah, so I know a few people who call Jaggi Vasudev ji a Guru Droha.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Acknowledges, I guess, that he learned things under Rishi Prabhakar. He never acknowledges that on public, I guess.
yeah, and so what we have also seen is in his biography, whatever he's written about his enlightenment journey does not fit into what actual reality is, in the sense that he trained under my father and then he went to Coimbatore and he started. So my father, he gave the freedom to all of the people, whoever wanted to do what they wanted to do. And only his biography does not match up with what actually happened.
That's really sad to listen to,
But I'm really happy about Jaggi Vasudev ji, where in the inner engineering SSY content is mostly similar. And one thing that I am very happy about personally. I have no grudges against him, or I respect him a lot because he's created an empire. And I think that's a lot to learn from Jaggi Vasudev ji and Isha Yoga, of how they've created something. So one thing I'm very happy about is Guruji's knowledge, or the knowledge that he wanted to spread is being spread under any banner. So the banner doesn't matter. The knowledge which needs to go to the people is going. And that I'm very thankful about, that Sadhguruji has been able to modify the knowledge, pack it in a proper way so that people can benefit from it. And that is what matters at the end of the day, people's benefit.
And his oratory probably helped him a lot, I guess.
Yes.
Tell something about your, association with certain senior teachers of the organization, like Manoj ji, Satish ji.
We were associated very closely before the lockdown. All of us worked together to get the organization forward. But as I said, people have been there for 30, 40 years in the organization. They've given their lives to the organization. And to many ways, they are also part of RSVK's journey. So they are an integral part of the organization, and they are contributing to the growth of the organization, even during the hard times. So I'm grateful to each and every senior teacher, Pune, Bombay, Bangalore, other cities in India. And I think there are certain issues in the day-to-day workings of the organization and how things should be taken up versus how they're taken up, and the various approaches. But I think within all of us have a lot of love for each other, and we have respect towards each other. And the unity of Guruji or SSY Sangha is through this respect and independence or codependence that everyone has on each other, and where everyone has their autonomy and they're also working towards Guruji's vision in whatever ways they find it best.
Okay. Something that comes to my mind right now is, have you have done your full course of SSY? Are you some level teacher right now?
No, I'm not a teacher, but I have undergone the SSY course multiple times.
And do you read other scriptures as well, like, the Vedas or the Vedantas? Are you interested in these things?
Not really. I'm not a religious person. I do follow various spiritual practices from within. I'm spiritual from within, but I'm not religious in any way.
So how do you see, or how do you look at spirituality? How do you, compartmentalize it in form of this is religious and this is spiritual? Or do you feel there is a close link between these two aspects as well?
So the line between them is very faint. There's a very faint line between spirituality and religion. So when I used to present, and I used to always say that religion is one of the ways through which you can become spiritual. But through spirituality, one can never become religion. So, it's the circle within the circle. So religion takes you to spirituality, but over the years, because of modernization, religion is not the only way to become spiritual. You have so many atheists who are in many ways spiritual also. So I believe in that concept that spirituality is anywhere and everywhere, and even the concept of rejecting spirituality altogether is a spiritual concept in its own way.
Not getting trapped in the spiritual, sort of a dice, you can say that way, right?
Yeah. So personally about myself, I can share my inclinations. I am a spiritual person within, but in the exterior, I am a very practical oriented person. I like to find solutions. I don't like to keep things hanging. I love to get things sorted out quickly. And that is one of the skills that I've picked up from both Arundhati Ma and Guruji.
And I guess spirituality without the practical aspect of it, it doesn't make any sense at all, right?
Yeah, definitely not. Then you're just a person who's always in their head.
Right.
Even this is right, even that is right. And sometimes what happens in spirituality is that you are not able to take sides, or you're not able to decide firmly that yes, this is right and this is wrong, because at some point spirituality takes you into non-judgmentality. It takes you into a phase where everything is okay. And at that time, grounding is very much important for the practical life. If we lived in a completely spiritual life, or we lived in a community which is following the same guides and rules and regulations of the spiritual world, then having the spiritual approach wouldn't have been a problem at all. But in reality, we live in a multicultural, diverse society where you cannot expect the person in front of you to have the same value systems as you are. So it's very important to be able to give yourself a practical approach towards spirituality, and not just be in your head and keep thinking about things and not take sides. And to me, if you want me to give you a one word explanation of spirituality, that would be awareness.
Awareness.
Yes.
Awareness of the self. That's what you're talking about.
Awareness of everything. We don't need to describe what awareness is, but awareness about each and everything. And through awareness, wonderful things happen.
So, when you talk about awareness, there's another term that we use, that is consciousness.
Yes.
So how do you really, separate between these two, awareness and consciousness?
That's a very interesting question. I've never thought about it, but what comes to me right now is I think when I try to distinguish between awareness and consciousness, what comes to me is awareness is the being. Okay, so it's very informational. Awareness is very informational. That okay, I'm aware of my thoughts. Okay, I'm aware of this junk on the road. Okay, I'm aware of all the problems on the planet. So awareness is very informational, and consciousness goes to the next level, goes one level above, where you are taking information. You're taking information that you get through your awareness. You're processing it, and then you're creating a conscious. You're establishing your consciousness, your beliefs, your faith systems. All of these things influence how you take the world forward. Yeah, so when I'm a child, if my parents tell me that this is wrong and this is right, that becomes a part of my consciousness. And that is the distinction, where awareness is purely informational, and awareness about everything, which is just information. And consciousness,
because different teachers name it differently, right? That's also, some people, they describe awareness being a greater thing than consciousness. And I have also heard some people talking about consciousness being what you just right now said, that consciousness is the next level.
Yeah.
One more thing that I was thinking about, that in all this, spiritual practices, we talk about I am not the body, I'm not the mind. So when I'm talking about I'm not the body and I'm not the mind, according to you, what do you think? The karma is the body, what the body is doing, right? So if I am not the body, does the karma of the body stick to it?
A very wonderful question. In fact, I went into a thought loop of my own trying to find an answer to your question. So I am not the body, I am not the mind. That's a core concept of SSY. We have
Right.
we have a complete class about this, linked to a particular activity also. So what we should know within is that we are souls. Okay, and as souls, the body, the mind should not be our limitation. We are infinite.
Right.
But in certain circumstances, in certain instances, you have to be the body and you have to be the mind and you have to also be the soul, right? If you're saying that I'm not the body, I'm not the soul, so the body is your appearance in this lifetime. It is how you have been projecting, how you're projecting yourself in this lifetime. And so if someone is coming to you and if you're bleeding, or if you've got hurt and you've got a wound, you cannot say that I'm not the body, I'm not the soul.
What I told was I'm not the body and I'm not the mind.
Yeah, so I'm not the body and
I'm not the mind. So
Yeah.
whatever my body is doing, I am separate from my body, right? So this is me and this is my body. These are two separate entities. I exist without my body being there. So whatever my body is doing, does that karma stick to me? Me, that is not the body.
Definitely it does. Of course it does. Because your body isn't there without you. This identity that I've given to myself, I'm Siddhant, your Swarup ji, we have given identities to this face and this body that we have, and we are functioning through this body. So you cannot say that just because the body and the mind and the soul are different, that the karmas or the effects of this world do not apply to us. It definitely applies, because the body is a medium for the soul.
Absolutely, wonderfully answered. So the rules of the body and the karma of the body will affect the body definitely in some.
Definitely.
And even if it's a rebirth, it will again affect the body in the rebirth. That is what even, I don't know whether you have read the Vedantas, but that's what the Vedanta is telling, that as long as you're wearing the body, the karma affects you.
Yeah.
If you are not in that body form, you're in the soul form, the karma does not affect you there.
Yeah.
So you're wearing the chain that one generation and then you get another birth, the karma keeps coming back to you.
Yeah.
My last question for the day would be, what are your plans for the next, let's say, 5 to 10 years? Where you see yourself from now?
I haven't thought, to be honest, I haven't thought that much about the next 5 to 10 years, but I can probably reduce that to 2 to 5 years. Is that okay?
All right, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So currently I'm in my 3rd year and I'll graduate this year. So my number one goal is to graduate, and then I'm taking a gap year for a year and trying to figure out where I place in the world. What is my positionality in the world? I'm trying to figure that out, because of the lockdown and because of various incidences, that positionality isn't clear for me internally. So I'm going to take that time. As you know, I have Digital RCRT, a startup. So I'm going to work on that. And in the next 2 to 5 years, I see myself through Digital RCRT to become an integral part of each and every household, because Digital RCRT is such a product which can liberate millions of students all around the world, not just in India, but abroad as well. So that is my vision for Digital RCRT, and that it becomes an integral part of each and every curriculum. And we've started talking to various schools and institutions to include it in their curriculum. And so that is about Digital RCRT. About the other things that I do, I'm an entrepreneur. So I am where I think I've taken up more of Guruji's entrepreneurial side over the years. And so there are various projects that Guruji had initiated. He had initiated a company called Rishi Prakritik, which is into FMCG and foods. So
Right.
that is something that I would take up. And
Where is the unit of that?
it's in Katarkadak Ashram. It's a small unit. My mother has been working on that. It was Guruji's
Right.
project. So back when Guruji, in 2013, Guruji had said that Patanjali has such wonderful products. It has, back then Patanjali range was very limited. We had, the aloe vera gel and certain limited products, toothpaste and all of that. So Guruji wanted my mother to develop a whole range of FMCG products under RSVK, for RSVK, or as an RSVK brand. So that is one project that I would love to take up with my mom. Over the years, because of her various commitments to me and to the organization, we haven't been able to grow it to that level. But I'm sure you'll see a lot of Rishi Prakritik in the next year or two. And basically, I will also undergo a lot of training, spiritual, emotional, academic training, so that I have everything. I'm equipped with all the skills to take up the greater vision that I have for the world. And in the next 2 to 5 years, uh, I sort of I feel that I'll get more clarity towards what exactly I am and what I will be and what I will be doing in the course of my life. Because over the years, I have focused on completing each and every step, 12th grade, now university, and I have various avenues to either get into foreign services because I'm majoring in international relations, or just take up my entrepreneurial self and explore that part. And if something happens in RSVK, that is always an option available for me.
Wonderful.
So at a junction at this point.
My best wishes are with you. And I sincerely believe that what Guruji predicted or prophesied rather, that one day you're going to take up, uh, the central position of the RSVK organization. You carry the genes of Guruji, and the spirituality that he started propagating probably will have some direction through you. That's what I strongly believe. And I'll be inviting you again. I just informed you that I have a bigger
Yeah.
platform where we reach out to schools across Maharashtra. A lot of parents. We have around 20,000 subscribers. So one day I would be requesting you to come over and deliver a short, brief about what this digital RCRT is all about. And if you can take a session for the students, that would be really good.
Definitely. It would be my pleasure to be a part of any interaction. I love to have interactions with like minded people like yourself. And I would like to appreciate you a lot for the initiative that you've taken and all of your educational skill sets and how you're wanting to reform education yourself. And education is the backbone of our country. So we need to work on it collectively, very preciously. And it's a very precious entity, in my opinion.
Thank you so much. And I just felt while talking to you today that you have this certain amount of calmness that I saw it earlier also. But what I felt today is you are very, very courageous. You did not, mince words. You didn't try to be diplomatic. You didn't try to, portray a very goody-goody image of yourself. So this courageousness is something that probably will reach everyone. That you did not feel any hesitation to call a spade, or something that is wrong right now. So that's a wonderful side of you. So if I just ask you this, no,
Yeah,
I've been asking the last question the last time.
no problem. I'm all free this
But
evening.
yeah, so the thing that if I have to ask you this, that what are the 2 or 3 changes that you would like to make in RSVK if given the leadership, what it would be?
Um, I would like to include everybody, include all the teachers, all the facilitators. I would like to, uh, so I would like to bring the organization from the 1980s or the 90s into 2021. and and create a more corporate system to the spiritual organization so that it flourishes and make it self-sufficient.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
With that note,
Can I add a comment? A small
right,
comment? Yeah.
sure.
So I thank you for appreciating my authenticity or my directness towards things. Just to add to what you had said, a couple of months back, someone from the organization, one of the senior teachers, he visited us and he asked me, Siddhant, what is your approach for the next year or half? And I told he told me to describe it in one word. And the word that came out of my mouth that I do live by today is authenticity. And my mother and Guruji, they've always taught me to be authentic. And over the lockdown, I have learned to accept authenticity and expect authenticity also. And so everything that we are, that myself and Arundhati Ma, we are 101% authentic. There is nothing black and white. There is nothing left and right. You question us about anything. I have developed acceptance of being truthful and being honest about things that I'm comfortable sharing about. And so thank you so much for bringing that up. And I appreciate your awareness towards all of these things.
Thank you so much. And I felt like I was speaking to a true Brahmana, as Guruji has portrayed Brahmana as a person who is not afraid to tell the truth. So you have been a true Brahman, and I sincerely wish that you reach the heights that you're destined to. All my best wishes, and I'll be definitely, be connected to you in different ways. We
Thank
have
you.
just started the journey of a relationship, and we will definitely nourish it together. And I strongly believe that we can have a lot of, long mutual beneficial relationship with each other. Thank you.
Definitely.